HULA takes the lead in Hilo this time of the year as we celebrate the Hawaiian culture through the Merrie Monarch HULA Festival. Aloha, I'm Paula Akana. The journey to the Merrie Monarch is one filled with months of research and planning and hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of practice. Tonight you meet a few of the halau and dancers who are competing in this year's event. We'll tag along on their huaka'i or hula journeys and watch their lei and kapa making endeavors. It's all next on Backstage at the Merrie Monarch. Hula and more hula for the ladies of Kapa Hula o Ku'uanoi o Wa'ahila on a recent hula retreat in preparation for the Merrie Monarch Festival. Or should we call it a hula boot camp?
They didn't know it was boot camp. I said it was a retreat, a healing retreat. It was a matter of, I could see that there was not just a difference in age, you know, between all of the ladies, but a difference in experience. And, you know, we have some older ladies who've never been on, you know, to Merrie Monarch. This would be their first time with us. And so it was just a time, because at hula, you know, you get to say hi, you get to say hello, but you don't really get a chance to sit down and get to know each other. And in halo, we expect all of the haumana that are dancing together, you know, to work together. You know, always say dance as one, you know, be as one. And it's really hard to do if you don't know the person that's next to you.
That's not to say they didn't have a little fun. Fun mixed in with studies.
How do we live? You know, because we were talking about last night the difference between Kawakahiko with the hula kapu and what happened once Christianity came, and how things changed with the kuaku and everything. So how do we apply what our kupuna practice to halau today?
You come with the right attitude. You don't come to hula with baggage. You know, you only come if you're ready to come.
And we ask for permission, just like you ask for permission to come into halau, or you kahea when you go to somebody's house, and you know, when you take food with you, whatever. When you go mauka, you ask for permission, and then you pick, and then after you are thankful for what you got, then you don't continue to pick. So pretty much in everything you do, there's a protocol.
And more hula. By now it's past noon and the sun is shining down.
Keep your line straight. All of you need to watch where you have your hand placement. You know how I am about your hands on your hips, and we'll work on that tonight. Okay, because some of you tend to get that real ete hand going on your hip. It's driving me nuts.
The halau returns to the Merrie Monarch Festival after a 3-year hiatus. Kumuhula Melia Lobenstein Carter has added a new title to her resume, Mommy.
I feel like my brain can only work between 1 and 3 in the morning because that's the only time I have absolute silence. You know, I don't hear a baby crying or, you know, there are a million of things to do. And I used to think, wow, it used to be hard before, but they really do suck your creative energy. So it's been a little harder for me as far as trying to figure out what I want to do.
But the hula aunties stand by to lend a helping hand. And Melia says so does her grandma, the late Auntie May Lobenstein.
Oh, she's very much with me. She's, you know, I couldn't do it without her. Yeah, everything. I still have to see her dancing. I still have to hear her voice. I have to hear her slapping me, telling me, get on the ball. And that's basically what made me decide what I was doing, was because I woke up one morning, I'm like, oh, here she goes. She was yelling at me in my sleep because I was slacking. So I'm like, all right. I won't use the baby as an excuse. I'll get on the stick. So I was up at the museum, I'm like, okay, focus. Find a babysitter and focus.
Hours of hula, rewarded with a jaunt down to the beach.
We're going to be heading into the ocean. It's one of my favorite exercises. Grandma used to always take me down to the beach after hula. Of course, she would make me do all kind of things. She's like, oh, dive, go on the reef, do this, do that. But mostly because it was so healing, you know, because your body is so tired after dancing all day. And they've been dancing for pretty much a good 48 hours this whole weekend, just doing stuff. So we're going to go in and you know, the salt water is healing, the motion of the waves is healing, and then they're going to do some water exercises to help them eventually when they have to do their hula noho, because the flow of the water against their hips, one will help them, and then it eases and it soothes their muscles.
For Carter, the Merrie Monarch Festival is a time for her to keep the traditions of her family out there for the public to see, and a good time to keep her dancers on their toes.
For us, it's good to get back in there. And you know what? It's good for us to get back on edge because you get kind of complacent after a while. You know, when you're not in competition, life is great. You can do everything at a nice leisurely pace, and it's good. It kicks everybody's level up a notch and forces them to dig deep. And, you know, that's our theme for this year. The girls said is o mahi ai o. You know, we teach the piapa to the keiki, and so that's our dig deep. That's our way of saying you need to dig deep. When you think you can't go anymore, you need to dig deeper.
Welcome back. The competition kicks off Thursday night with a soloist competition as the Wahine compete for the title of Miss Aloha Hula. 2 have decided to make their own kapa from start to finish. Let's take a look. When Carly Makanani Singh takes the stage in Hilo Thursday night, she'll be wearing the kapa, or bark cloth that she made by hand, a painstaking process that began months ago.
This one we started in January when the semester first started. So slowly by slowly, we've been doing it, you know, every week I touch it or I do something to it. So it's giving me a real appreciation for kapa makers, kapa dyers, just for our kupuna and the things that they did. Like, I can't go to Fabric Mart and buy my kapa to make, you know, I really appreciated it.
Makanani began by harvesting the bouquet, first carefully choosing the plant and then cutting it. The bouquet is the paper mulberry tree used to make the kapa or bark cloth. With kukua from her kumu, Maile Andrade, they begin the process of slicing the bark that will be used for the kapa.
We're going to slice this bark all the way down the stalk. And okay, I'm on a good run, so I'm going to keep going, right? so that we can peel the bark off. So you can see the thickness, you can see it pulling away. So what she wants to do is take this whole bark off. And it should get easier as we have more grip, you know?
And so they continue, gripping the bark and peeling. Once the bark is peeled off, they use an opihi shell to scrape it down.
So I would have to scrape this whole thing and go with the opihi and try and get most of the green and the brown off so that all we're left with is just the white. The interesting thing about this knife is it was given to my kumu maile by Kana'ai from Hilo, and she's had it for 23 years, and it hasn't been sharpened, hasn't had to be retwined or anything. So 1 year younger than I am, this knife right here, and it's still working. It's great.
Then the peeled and scraped bark is rolled up and placed in a bucket to soak for 10 days to soften the fibers. Then the beating begins. Makanani is also making her moena, or mat to dance on, carefully weaving strip upon strip of lohala. And through this process, many have come to help.
Like when we were pounding kapa, I had hula sisters who just came by to drop off food, you know, see how I was doing. And they were with me through like the really hard parts of scraping, and they did the dirty work. And I really have to mahalo them for that. And for my family, like my tutu who used to weave hala, her grandmother used to do hala, and she forgets, she doesn't know how to do it, but she was so happy to see me on the floor in the living room, and she added a couple of rows, and everybody in my family went in and did a couple of rows, and several of my hula sisters helped me pound kapa. So to me, it was like they were all putting their mana, they were all putting their good thoughts for me in it. So I was really happy that I have so much support to help me. With my moena, it's so enriching for me. For the whole experience, more than Miss Aloha Hula, is that I got to get so in touch with like the culture more than I ever did making my moena, doing the kapa, and to wear. I took this bark off a tree and I made it into something beautiful that I can wear. So I think that's so amazing. And when we were getting close to finishing, we went to Bishop Museum to the collection of kapa, and I got to see kapa that was worn by Kauikeaoli, you know, and Kalakaua, and all the kapas that you used to have and the types that they would make. And I saw a really interesting piece, which is a kalukalusa, which is really thin, like laced. And it got me really more interested in the art of kapa making, which I want to continue.
Bianca Kulia Kaleinani Costa returned to her home island of Kauai to work on her kapa.
It came from just a question asking my kumu, what does pelan represent? Because I know it's a non-Hawaiian material. And basically, most people in Halau use pelan for Merrie Monarch because it's a little more resourceful than having to go and get the actual tapa itself. But me being from Kauai, I wanted to go that extra extent to make my own kapa. And it's been a really amazing ride in doing so. The piece of wood that I'm using as my ie kuku to make my kapa is actually coming from this, we're at the grounds at the Waioli Church, and there was a tree that stood here for about 250 years. And this is where my grandfather, my grandmother, great-grandmother, and her father grew up and was raised. And to me, that's just so important and significant in making my kapa, because then I get to bring a piece of them with me in this whole journey. And this is who I want to dance for, my family and the people of Kauai.
She shares her love for her home and her ohana through her kapa making and her dance.
My family on my father's side comes from Hanalei, and my mele talks about Hanalei. Actually, both my mele in Kahiko and Awana both talk about Hanalei area. So this place is very, very, very important to me and special to me because my family comes from here. My grandmother, great-grandmother, great-great-grandfather, and actually, if you can see in the back, His tombstone is right behind us, James Kealoha. My uncle actually gave me a piece of wood to make my iekuku, and it's coming from a tree that stood here for about 250 years. And to me, that's really special because it shows all the connections that I have between my family and Hanane. And using that to make my kapa is just making it even more significant.
Huaka'i, a trip, a voyage. For a halau, the huaka'i is a chance to see and feel the people and places they're dancing about. Kaleo o Laka I Kahikina o Kala will dance to mele about Kamehameha and Ka'ahumanu at this year's Merrie Monarch Festival. So their huaka'i took them to the land of Kamehameha, the island of Hawaii.
Kamehameha, when he came, he rededicated Ahuena, yeah? Ahuena was here. He didn't come here in 1812 to build it. It was here already. So he rededicated it for his own private place of worship.
Their host on this day, Fred Kachola, sharing with them the history of Ahuena Heiau in Kailua Kona.
This is where Kamehameha chose to make his government. This is where they broke the kapu. This is where that really the most important feast ever in Hawaii was held right here. And this is where the missionaries first stepped foot, right here. This is where the ship came. This is where they built the first church. Later on, when Princess Ruth and others wanted to come here, they built Hulihe'e Palace right across. And I know it's difficult for us today, you know, to take a look at all this and kind of feel that.
No na ke kapu ka vela ka hana I holo I luna o ka vekiu. Ai, hole wai mea I ka ihea ka makani. Hole wai mea? Hole wai mea I ka ihea I ka makani hau mai na ale a ke ki pu'u pu'u. Hela aui ka la ihi ia na ke anu. I o owi kana helea o mahi ki ku.
E o koa lai ka pori o ka pohaku. Me he hana wai a lai ka hou po ke kai. He ala palapai ke o ne o ruhi e. E ruhi o e a uane I ka moe.
To one side, Kamehameha's meditation hale, a place where he would be left alone.
And as you know, Mehameha, Kamehameha, the lonely one. And there were many times in his life when it was very lonely for him. When he had to make some awesome decisions, when he had to tune in, when he had to get his mana. And so he spent many times alone. When you're that high chief, sometimes there's no one else you can turn to. And you have to turn to yourself. And this is where he did that.
Kamehameha died here, and on this platform, they carefully cleaned his bones.
I think the visiting is incredible because not only for the dancers, but for myself also as the kumu. I learned so much, and I know that the students, took away a deep appreciation, for the places. And so, as they dance, they can visualize the places that they're talking about. As they chant, they can, feel the mana of the ali'i that they're honoring. And so it's with that, that we honor these people in these places.
As part of their journey to the Merrie Monarch, the kane of the halau made the ihe, or spears they would dance with.
That was one of my favorite things that I've ever done in my life, is go through that process of spear making, to feel the wood in your hands, to be able to work with something and then see it shape, and then to be able to hold on to it for many, many years, It's really, really awesome.
The dance is very intricate and very crucial. It's a lot of hard work, but with our preparation this year, making the spears and everything, it's a lot of extra time on top of hula. So, like today we have a few kids helping out. It's a long process. You know, it's very time consuming, especially with wood. Not to make a mistake, you take a little off at a time. You really dedicate your mana, your power into our implements that we're going to use for this particular dance. So I'm really proud to not only go through the process, but make something with my own hands, and as well continue in the footsteps that our old ancestors used to go through that process.
It's so different from buying something, and when you make it with your own hands, it has so much more meaning, so much more mana. And so when they hold on to their spears, they know that they've made that particular spear. So it's very special to us.
Is all that hard work worth it?
It's always worth it. You know, it may be only 6-7 minutes, but in the end, you can have a lifetime of experience. You're sharing it with the people you love. You're practicing something that you love. So the commitment is not a sacrifice, like I said. It's something to be proud of.
It's a Saturday afternoon in Kailua, and the women of HULA Li'ula are learning how to make kupe'e, or bracelets and anklets, out of lawa'e fern.
Because what's going to happen if you don't set it on the table, it's going to start curling, and then eventually you bunch it up. You want to make sure that it's nice and soft.
It's sort of a trial run before they make that trip to Hilo for the Merrie Monarch Festival.
Instead of learning how to do this up in Hilo, we're doing the workshop now so that they can practice. So when we get up there, everything should fall into place, and I don't have to make everything.
The men of the halau are making lei and kupe'e out of shell. They've spent more than 2 days just drilling the holes in the shells.
The men are going to do a Molokai chanting, and it talks about Kuali'i battling with the Molokai chiefs over the fish ponds. And what he does, because the battle takes place mostly in the ocean, when the canoes come in, so we wanted the kupe'e shells to depict the ocean part.
For Kumuhula Chinky Mohoy, these workshops are important, so his students learn more about hula than just the dance itself.
I think it's important because it not only to learn how to do it, but to appreciate what they've done. You know, it's a whole learning process within yourself. It's only easy to, and you heard some of them, oh, I'll pay you $25 for kupe'e, you know. It's only easy to pay somebody to do it, but then as you're doing it, you're putting your own mana and aloha into what you're doing. So it becomes a part of you when you're dancing.
Mohoy celebrates 26 years of teaching hula. This year's Merrie Monarch performance is a reunion of sorts. His wahine halau includes one dancer from every year they've competed in the Merrie Monarch, like Angeline Kauhivai Lindsay Malo Smith. She danced for the halau in the 1983 Merrie Monarch Festival.
We were just a bunch of friends that were trying to emulate what he learned through the Mena Waimapuna. So it was exciting for all of us because we were all coming out of the Kailo High School madrigals and trying to do something different.
Haina ia mea na kapuana no kapukana e ia oilo lilo I kamali wahine o Hawaii o lili uololo ku o lili uo kalani e
23 years later, family, children, different friends. We met up actually at a reunion, and Chinky just had this great idea of, hey, Angie, you want to try and dance in Merrie Monarch next year? And I thought, well, you know, 23 years ago, my body's a lot different. But, you know, you never lose the feeling of hula. I mean, once you do it, it's always in your heart. Your body might need some time to catch up, a lot of time to catch up, but it's always in your heart and your mind. It's always a part of you. We still have the same unique style that Chinky always did teach us when he first started the halau, but it was 23 years ago, so it has changed a little bit. But you can see that in each girl that you can see Chinky in each girl.
I think for me it makes it even more special because although our style has changed, the hula has changed, it's a matter of now trying to blend together and bringing the old with the new and trying to find what works for us.
Favorite Merrie Monarch memories for the Kumu Hula?
When the men did the sports number, that one already, because it was something so different, that it was a gamble. And like I told the guys, I said, we're either going to win big or we're going to lose big. It was more magical than anything else. And I know just through that performance, it brought a lot of people onto the stage with us. And I think that matters the most, is being able to bring the audience onto the stage with you.
When Kumuhula Sisi Lilinoi Ka'il's dancers take the stage at the Merrie Monarch Hula Festival, they receive a thunderous applause from the crowd. It's as though they're the hometown favorites. They are a favorite with many, but they bring their hula from another shore far, far away. This is Grass Beach, now named Palama by Ka'il's halau. Hula halau o Lilinoi, Napua Meki Aloha are based in Carson, California. This is a slice of beach they've adopted.
and we call it palama, a sacred enclosure. And we come here to Kapukai or to Pikai, and it's become very special because, of course, the ocean keeps us connected to Hawaii. The very first time that we came down, we were actually doing a chant for Kaha'i, the voyaging chant, and I felt that it was really necessary for us to come to the ocean. So we found this place, and that particular morning, there were 3 naya that was leading us over to a cova on that area. No one else was here but us. So this became our special place, and so we like to take care of it as well as come and cleanse ourselves, but we also come to clean it up and kind of malama it as it malamas us.
Even though they're thousands of miles away, Ka'iu and her halau find a bit of Hawaii wherever they go. They took us along for a quick stop at some of their favorite places, like Duka Hanamoku's surf shop, Ono Shave Ice at Teriyaki Hawaii, and Hawaiian food and music at Bob's Ohana Hawaiian-style restaurant.
In this restaurant, we got surfboards like Edio Gata with Rebi Kekai. We have t-shirts hanging on the top. These are people who are guests. They come here and they give us a gift, a t-shirt, so we can, show everybody that they've been here from Hawaii. We get slippers on the wall, get the cracked seed, and we get the musicians over here.
Kimchi, macaroni salad, fish, any kind of fish.
Okay, we have special side men and bacon with eggs and rice.
But it is the hula. Like many in the halau, Ka'iu was raised on the mainland.
I didn't start dancing until I was 16 years old, and that was with a group of Hawaiians that had a Mormon church luau here in the mainland. And so I learned Polynesian dancing first, and then through them, I actually met a hula teacher from Hawaii named Kanani Kalama. And then my mother belonged to a hui called Hawaii Daughters Guild of California, and they were putting on a pageant. And one of the Hawaii Daughters Guild actually started to teach a hula kahiko, and for some reason I became mesmerized or connected, and it was an Ayala Opele chant. And then Lincoln and I moved home. We returned back, and I met Uncle George Naope, and he became a mentor. And then over the years, it was through hula and the mele hula, especially the pre-contact hulas, that I felt was important to understand my heritage and learn some secrets of our ancient ones. And then I, of course, have connected with Tangaro, who is also known as Kaipo Frias, Kekuhi folks, and Antipua and Antinala Kanako Ole. So they've been really instrumental in how our hula is today.
Taupuri Tangoro visited Ka'iu and her halau recently, bringing with him dancers from Hawaii Community College.
There's a lot of things about hula that I'm just discovering. There's a lot of things that I just realized that I don't know, and a lot of things I didn't feel before that I felt yesterday. And it was just, Dr. Tangaro is just an amazing man, and I was so happy that he brought his hula to share with us.
It's more of an exchange rather than just someone coming to teach 1 or 2 numbers. It's more of an exchange because the Hawaii Community College, these are graduating students from the Hawaii Lifestyles hula certification program. So this is their final project, this concert and the workshop, and working with us.
Ka'iu says it's exchanges like this one that helps her teach the hula. Most of her dancers are second-generation transplants.
Second generation, and basically that is Native Hawaiians or local people who have moved up here in probably the 60s, and now their children or their children's children is dancing hula, and they're seeking out their heritage, but they've grown up here. So their environment is quite different than growing up in Hawaii. So we have to teach them really basic, very, very basic things, not just about hula, but about our heritage, our Hawaiian culture, our history. So we try as much as possible to get back home so that they know what the ocean feels like, they know what the what alo'i feels like. And you know, I think that those are things that are important that will stay with them and hopefully help them to be more about their heritage and where they come from.
The halau also takes part in a hula mau, a competition exclusively for mainland halau. This will be the 12th year for the Southern California Hula and Chant competition. Ka'io estimates there are about 200 halau in Southern California alone. But it is the Merrie Monarch they are drawn to. And this ho'ike held recently is just part of the year-long fundraising that goes into the Merrie Monarch trip. Ka'io says it cost the halau between $100,000 and $150,000 to bring the dancers and their families to the Merrie Monarch. But she says it's worth every penny.
What's really important about going to Merrie Monarch is that you have some of the top halau from Hawaii that you get to share a stage with, but we also go on Huaka'i. So the Merrie Monarch is also a vehicle in which we can use to get home, to go and do our cultural thing, but it also allows for us. So if we're doing a chant for Kamehameha this year, the men are going to go lavaia, they're going to go throw net, they're going to go into the lo'i, but we can't do that up here, we don't have that. They need to become more familiar with the aina. So the mele itself serves many different purposes. And Merrie Monarch, well, Merrie Monarch's like the Olympics of hula. What an honor for us to even be invited.
Merrie Monarch's very exciting. Like I tell all my men in my class, it's probably like on my top 5 lists of lifetime experiences. The atmosphere is great, the energy is great for that week, and it's just a great experience to share our culture. And coming from California, that means a lot, just being invited to the Merrie Monarch.
So listen for the roar of the crowd. That means Auntie Sissy is back in Hilo. This year, we mourn the passing of Kumuhula Kaulana Kasparovich. Kaulana always had a twinkle in his eye, infectious laughter, and yet was very committed to his hula traditions. We'd like to honor Kaulana by airing a piece we filmed with him 12 years ago as he prepared his halau for Merrie Monarch 1994. Ko'olau'au, the Lehua Dance Company's Hula Kahiko for this year's Merrie Monarch Hula Festival.
The hula pahu is a very dear favorite of mine, probably one of my most favorite in Kahiko. I love the sound of the pahu drum. This is a traditional chant that was taught to me by my kumu hula. In the past few years, so much new things have been done in the Merrie Monarch or in different ho'ikes or concerts and things. A lot of new chants, a lot of new works have done. There's a lot of young kumus today that I look out and I see that don't know of these old chants. I call them the genealogy chant because when I say that, I don't mean because of a genealogy tree, but because these chants like a ko'olau'au, au aia, kaulilua kianu vai ale ale. They're your 3 basic hula pahu chants that when you're from a hula school, you look over there and you see a kumu dancing and you go, and you see the most, that's a hula brother, whether they studied with you or not, because they studied under the same genealogy line of the kumu. It came from one source.
The ladies of the Lehua Dance Company helped to create their costumes. The process began many weeks ago when they traveled to the Hawaii Nature Center to gather kukui nuts necessary to make the dyes for their costumes.
They do roll down, they fall down, and they bury themselves in the mud. In this kind of mud, it's very easy to get buried. So again, like I said, you keep one eye on the trail, one eye on the sun. Oh, don't point your dagger at me, Vera. Don't kill the kumu. But here's the kukui nut as it comes out of the ground.
Through the misty rains, the group walked on, gathering many bags of nuts. Then the work began to extract the oil.
So you take this in.
The kukui nuts are placed in a single-layer dish and roasted at 325 degrees for about an hour and a half. And then the hard work really begins. As the nuts are cracked, every bit of the precious meat is removed. Then that meat is mixed in a blender until it forms the consistency of peanut butter.
Again, there, now you can really see it happening.
That mixture is poured into a cheesecloth, and the oil is strained out. Meanwhile, the dancers burn their leis.
Yes, in the old days, if Hawaiians had lighter, they would have used lighter too. We're a very Eleo people.
The leis represent their mana, and the ash will be used in the dye.
It's going to start to smoke quite a bit. Okay, good.
The ash from the leis is then mixed with powder from the lipstick plant and the kukui nut oil to make the dye, which is then painted onto the cloth.
The red and the black are the colors of the Pele family. We choose to use a green skirt that we will be using this dye on. We'll be mixing the ashes, the lipstick pod, and the oil, and getting a nice consistency for color. And what happens is we'll be then painting it on their pa'u skirt, and the design we'll be using this year is the kuhivi, or the mountain design. The reason the mountain design is, again, it represents the ko'olas. There will be 5 mountains on each skirt. And to me, that's my representation of the ko'olau loa, ko'olau poko range, the combined range of the Oahu range of the ko'olau. I'm very excited to present something traditional. I think that's what it is. I just got excited one night, waiting for my inspiration, what to do, and it hit me. I said, no, I'm not going to create something new. I'm not going to write something new. I want to do what my teachers have taught me, to share with the people of today this dance, which is over thousands of years old. It comes from the epic story of Pele and Hi'iaka. So my goodness, it's as old as time itself. And to be passed down in traditional form with pahu, I thought, what a great pleasure for me and my ladies to learn, to teach my ladies, and then to share this with the public, to share these beautiful motions, which have lasted thousands of years through many generations of kumus. That was my inspiration to share this. And along with that, because it was an ancient dance and a hula pahu, I said, well, why not go the whole route and teach the girls the old traditional ways of doing everything, complete from their leis to their printing. And that's what got me excited, and I'm still excited. And I'm still ready. I'm ready for the chat. The girls we finished most of our dance already. In fact, all of us complete in the kahiko. It's just brush up time, and it excites me to watch it. It excites me as much as when I first learned it myself.
The hula world is full of so many cultural treasures, and many of them come to the Merrie Monarch to share their mana'o, or knowledge, with the world. It's truly an awesome event to attend, but if you don't have tickets, don't worry. You can catch all the hula live right here on Island Television KITV. Our coverage begins Thursday night at 6 with the Miss Aloha Hula competition. It continues 6 p.m. Friday with the ancient hula, the hula kahiko, and it wraps up Saturday evening at 6 with the modern hula, the hula awana. You can also watch live streaming video of the Merrie Monarch on our website, thehawaiichannel.com. It really is the next best thing to being there, so don't miss out. Mahalo for joining us. Until next time, I'm Paula Akana. Aloha.